Hello and welcome to a Let's Play of Legend of Grimrock. This will be a blind Let's Play. I've made a party for this game once, just to see, just so I don't have to spend an hour in the character creation section wondering about what I'm going to do, because the manual of the game is basically totally worthless, so you are entirely reliant on the info screens in the game to actually figure out what everything does. And even the character creation isn't that helpful. What I mean is there's info windows there that sort of show you a little bit of what certain things the character creation section do, but you have to go into the actual game to see the full list, so it's sort of worthless. Anyway, normal difficulty. I'll create my own characters, thank you very much. Old school mode turns off auto mapping completely, which is sort of an odd. I don't mind the fact that you can turn off auto mapping. It's just odd to hear it called old school mode, because quite a few of the good ones have auto mapping, old school games like these, and I'm sure there are quite a few that don't. My point being is, I don't think it was ever a point of pride to not have an auto mapping system. It just sucked. Everyone loved the auto mapping features, so it seems like some people are sort of proud to get these horrible lacking game mechanics or systems back into the game. Like it's a point of pride that your game sucks once at a time, when it was more likely that the developers at the time didn't have the resources or the capabilities to just implement one, and they would basically be extremely happy to have had an auto mapping system in their game. Right. So here's the basic deal as far as I can tell. You make a 4-man party, 2 will be in front, 2 will be in the back. You can't attack with melee if you're in the back row, so you basically want to plan ahead a little bit. 3 classes, so I intend to have one of each, then probably a second mage. Probably. Usually energy is a consideration, like mana type energy that this game too has. Problem, or rather I think a positive in this is it seems like fighters and rogues also have it. So sort of being a little bit tied to energy use is not something limited to mages. Mages, I'm pretty sure their entire spell casting lineup is tied to the energy. But with fighters and rogues, it's tied to specialty attacks. So if you want to be effective in combat, you still need energy. Which is fine. So it's not just a handicap mages have. Right. 4 races. The human seems to be sort of a can do it all. Minotaur seems to be physical damage focused, probably a fighter specialty. Lizardman, rogue specialty, insectoid, and mage specialty. That's how it seems to me at least. Everyone can choose 2 traits, and depending on what race you pick, a certain amount of skill points. Skill points or skills is one of those things that you don't see what they do until you go into the game. You sort of see like level 4 spell question mark question mark question mark, level 5 resist shock +10, level 9 spell question mark question mark question mark. Every skill seems to go to level 50, and as a rule of thumb, you sort of at least with spell skills, you sort of get all the interesting stuff around level 30. And then you just add a lot of resistances. I'm sure the skill affects basically how dangerous your spells are, how much damage they do and the like. But you get all the abilities by that point. With other skills it's not quite so simple. With fighting skills and rogues, assassination and the like, it seems like you basically want the level 50 skill. I mean, it's drastically superior to what came before it. I think with dodge, for example, you get a bonus to evasion, like plus 50 or something like that, and all the evasion bonuses you get before that won't amount to that 50. So there's really high incentive to try to specialize in skills instead of basically try to spread your skills points about. The problem is I don't know how many skill points I can look forward to in the game, so it could be that we can get a skill to maximum, then spread points around, or we have enough skill points that we'll get multiple skills to maximum by the end of the game. I don't know. Right, anyway. Fighter. I'll do Minotaur, Lizardman, Insectoid, maybe 2 Insectoids. I could also do a human caster. Humans will get skill points, 4 skill points. Insectoid would get 3, but they'll have bonuses to willpower, which is important for the mage. I don't know. Anyway, I sort of know what I want to do anyway. Minotaur fighter, a rogue, and that's our front line, and the 2 mages. 2 mages simply because there's at least 4 special magics lineups you can specialize in. And while with combat skills I'm pretty sure it's sort of irrelevant what type of a single attack it is, more or less. With magics, I don't know. I don't see a single spellcaster being able to master it all. So what I'm thinking is you basically want maybe one specialty focus on each mage, maybe a little bit of the secondary, and then spellcraft. Spellcraft seems to be your basically allows you to cast a lot more, so massive increases in energy. Right. Mr. Moo is our Minotaur fighter. Can pick traits. I'm definitely want to focus on offensive if I can. I don't see how I could possibly have everyone be sufficiently tough to handle hits. Even at front line, I think that might be a stretch. No. Headhunter. Attack power +3 for each skull carry. I have no idea what this means, but or how it works. But it seems interesting enough. And only a Minotaur can take it, so once I will try it. Beast Spider. No, I'll definitely use a weapon on a fighter. Maybe resistances? Aggressive. Aggressive Headhunter. It seems to fit a fighter. We'll have 1 skill point only, so... Okay, we have basically 4 weapon skills. 1 athletics, which is sort of a survivability. You get strength, you get vitality, you get health, so it's wonderful, but it's nothing amazing. It's the attacks or weapon skills that we need to focus on. I'm not sure if armor is a good choice either. It seems to be if you invest somewhat, you will get rid of negatives associated with having armor. However, I wasn't exactly super impressed with the level 50 ability. It's like 25 tier protection. I'm sure it's fine. Problem being again, I don't recall defensive focused character building ever being preferable to offensive focused one. It's much more important to be able to kill things than it is to have some guy that takes forever to kill in your party. So axes, maces, or swords. If I recall correctly, axes have maybe more damage. Maces have armor penetrating. Like all your strikes will be armor penetrating at level 50. Swords, I think, have attack speed and damage. Might have specialty attack that penetrates armor and the like. I'm taking swords simply because my experience with other games always tells me that swords they're always covered. I haven't played a game where you couldn't find good stuff swords. Never, ever, ever. Strength 20. About the attributes, strength seems to be attack power and carrying capacity. It sort of bothers me because this game also has food, so I can't exactly ignore the carry capacity entirely, no matter what. Dexterity, melee, fighting, accuracy, so only one of this. Vitality is life. Ability to deal with resistances. Willpower is mostly energy. Rogue Lizard. There are very different types of fighters. I think Rogue is a fighter, more or less. Fighter seems to be getting his defenses through protection, which is damage mitigation. Rogue through evasion, which is just dodging the attack entirely. I don't know which is gonna be better. Lizzie. Alright. Okay, we'll get a few more points, but evasive, +7 evasion, because that's our defense. Agile, +2 dexterity. Dexterity is melee accuracy and evasion. There's no indication how accuracy is dealt with ranged weapons. Missile weapon skill gives bonuses to dexterity, however, there's no mention that dexterity affects, well, accuracy is based on the dexterity. But it isn't said what affects the damage, because thrown weapons get bonuses to strength, and that seems like a silly thing to get a bonus to if you're a ranged weapon specialist, unless the strength actually benefits these type of attacks in some moves. Strength doesn't say that it benefits just melee weapons, it just increases attack power. And attack power says damage output of character's physical attack. Doesn't say just melee attack, so there's a possibility at the very least that throwing weapons are affected by. Not sure about missile weapons because it prefers dexterity. I don't know. He's a frontline fighter anyway, so it doesn't really matter. We're gonna take probably dodge, daggers, and assassination. I'm not sure which would be the best. It seems like assassination lineup gives you a huge amount of bonuses to being able to do backstabs. I'm not 100% sure what the level 50 ability does. There's a question mark where its the skill description should be. But that's the general idea. More damage if you basically manage to hit the enemy while it's vulnerable somehow. Daggers would be straight up fighting. Dodging would be dodging. We might be able to develop 2 skills, but we probably need to pick something. And I don't want to be, while dodging is nice, I don't want to throw everything into dodging. It's unarmed combat, fucking take the daggers. The thing is, I'm not sure if I should take the daggers. Assassination gives you bonuses to basically everything. In your general combat, while daggers and unarmed combat and missile weapons would be weapon specific things. So I'm not sure what's the thing we should focus on. Shit. Gotta pick something. It's assassination or daggers. We need to focus on ability to kill first. Double damage when attacking enemy from behind. Or ability to attack with melee weapons from the back row. Not bad. Precise attack that deals double damage. I'm sort of leaning toward assassination because I can. Daggers is just a weapon skill, just like any other skill a fighter might have, but assassination is the thieves. So it might be interesting to just see where it goes. Suppose. Monpa. Yep, Monpa is a good name. Movement power. Be vitality. Aura. Plus 15 energy. Skill. Plus 3 skill points. I don't think that amounts to much, but thing is, I would like to get access to some spells immediately. So we need either 5 points in spellcraft or 3 points in one of the other skills. Or if you're using air. Okay, we'll start with some elemental magic focus on both casters. I don't know the spells we get. There's a theme. The game uses a rune system for casting. So there's some description what the runes will do, elemental runes. There's only 9, so it's not a massive system. And they're sort of ordered in a 3x3 grid, where in the corners there's elemental magic runes. And there are, I think, spirit, physical, light, death, and balance. It seems like you basically can you can find recipes for spells, but you can always also figure things out on your own. So recipes are not required to cast spells. Air is what? Air is... they were sort of themed. Float, fly, storm, gas, dexterity. Fire, destruction, strength. Earth, defense, vitality, plants. Ice, slow, willpower. I'm thinking of taking air. Because of the possibility of having interesting support spells like float, maybe even flying. Although I don't see how flying could be implemented in a game like this. Also, very likely access to electricity spells of some sort. Spellcraft is pretty much mandatory simply to it increases your energy pool, provides a few useful spells too, so probably worth it. Staff defenders, I couldn't give two shits about this. We're sitting in the back row and mages are there to kill stuff. They're, well, at least actively try to cast something. They're not there to sit on their asses and defend. Question is, should I put more in the air or should I put some in spellcraft? I think I'll have to take some spellcrafting. And level 50 on spellcraft is half casting cost on all magic. With the others, with the pure magic skills, I don't know if 50 is justified, but with spellcraft it is. It seems like you can basically start spamming spells. I'm not sure how reliant on that would we be though. I'd really like to know what spells we're looking at. What's... okay. We'll take full airman. Another insectoid caster. Morphar, okay, that's a fine name. I'll take the same traits, aura for extra energy and extra skill points. Skill. Earth, fire, or matte ice. Fire seems to have the cheapest access to some of these spells. I'm thinking ice. Five points in spellcraft would allow us to get access to spells on here. I don't know what these would even be. I can easily see the first casting spells of the elementals to be some kind of attack spells. I could also take fire, I suppose, because it's gonna have fireballs in the light, very likely. But I'll take ice. I want access to the spellcraft spells with this guy as quickly as possible, so 3-3 split for now. And we're done. Mount Grimrock. A towering spire looms above the clouds. A weathered rock that has stood tall for ages, longer than the histories of men have been written. It's a desolate place now, only remembered when things need to be discarded and forgotten. An airship struggles to gain altitude as it floats toward the peak. Four prisoners bound by heavy chains emerge from the ship. The court accuses them of terrible treasonous deeds, but by the grace of the king their crimes shall be forgiven atop Mount Grimrock. Their final trial is at hand. Numerous prisoners have received their pardons here, yet none have returned to live their life in freedom. They are at the very top of the world, and below them only darkness and justice awaits. As they are plunged down the open maw of the peak, their crimes are absolved. Everyone before them has perished in the guts of the mountain, but will you be able to lead them through the dark and to the freedom that awaits at the base of Mount Grimrock? Tutorial available. Party and marching orders. Control the party of 4 prisoners. Prisoners walk in a square formation with a front and a back row. Only the front row can perform melee attacks. Simple controls. There's like the movement controls and a rest. That's pretty much all the controls the game has. Item slots are used for attacking and for displaying what the character carry in their hand. Um, Left click on an item to pick it up, right click to attack with the item. So this is very much reminiscent of Lands of Lore 1. You can change the marching order by dragging a portrait with the left mouse button. Right click on a portrait to use the default keyboard shortcuts 1, 2, 3, 4 to access the character sheet. Equipment statistics and skills of a character are displayed on separate tabs. If a character suffers from a special condition such as poisoning or hunger, its effects can be seen on the statistics tab. Food doesn't seem to sort of function like you would assume it functions. Yeah, it matters if you get hungry, but it seems like it's not something that basically gets diminished over time. It gets diminished over actions. There's a bit of a difference, but I don't know if it matters too much. Point is, even if you just run around the dungeon on your own, you're going to lose food, so securing some kind of food supply seems vital in this game. Throw items by dropping them in the top corner, pick up or drop by clicking in the lower corner. Operate dungeon mechanisms by click. Right, wasn't that wonderful? All actions you do consumes food. The bar turns yellow when you're hungry, but there's no penalties at this stage. If you're starving, the bar turns red and you don't regain health and energy. So you don't die from it, but you really don't want to be in the red. So we have nothing. Right, we can rest, that's pretty much it. What is this? Also map. Yeah, it even divided in squares. Right. I'm trying to look for anything interesting. I suppose the skills. Yeah, here you see the entire set of bonuses. So athletics is for health, dexterity, vitality, increased carry capacity, decreased food consumption rate. They're sort of nice things, but I don't see them being vital. Armor is mostly health and protection. So if you want a tank, this is the way to go. Double evasion bonus. Yeah, that's another thing. Armor seem to give protection, but shields give evasion. So heavy armor proficiency, light armor proficiency. Those might be worth taking. But I'm not. Again, that's 16 points down this skill, and I have no idea even what the penalties are. So do I care? Not at the moment. Axes. Yeah, axes have attack power. Huge amounts of damage. Maces. Partially bypasses armor, ignores enemy armor. Swords have armor-piercing attack, cuts less extra powerful attack, harrying ability, a deadly chain of attacks that shred enemies to pieces, and double attack speed with swords. Right. Unarmed has the 3-point technique, um, and the description doesn't tell anything about that. I think that's generally a bad choice to put there. Yeah, it keeps some mystery to things, but at the same time, the entire point of having this is so you can plan things out ahead, see what you want. But it's impossible to say if the level 50 ability is worth anything. I'm sure it's nice, but you need to be able to know what it does. Rogue suffers from the same thing. Yeah, Master Assassin, question mark. Okay, I put basically 50 points in this skill. Is it going to be any good to my gameplay style? Who knows? Apparently it's not a vital piece of information. Mostly these seem to be chance of scoring critical hits, unarmed combat again, Ninja Master, evasion plus 50, and you'll get a, what, evasion plus 5, 10, 15, 20, then plus 50 on top of that. The dodge skill will provide serious elemental resistances, more health, and a massive amount of dodge evasion ability. But again, I don't know if it's something you want to focus on. It seems like killing is your thing. Maybe if you have a large group of evasion focused characters. Daggers, enemy double damage, armor piercing, chain attacks, extremely deadly attack that slays most enemies. Death strike. That sounds pretty good. Versus a question mark. Assassination, it sort of seems like it requires some weapon skill anyway to be all that effective. Because it has faster attack rate. Double scoring the chance of a critical hit. I don't know what the balance would be. We're gonna take daggers, we're gonna take something. But which one is more important? Assassination or daggers? No idea. Right. With the elemental spells here, 27 is the last really spell bolt attack we get. Your lightning bolt spells are much more powerful. After that, there's nothing. There's resistances. Air Mastery, Shock, plus 100. It's a similar thing with everything else. Poison bolts. Yeah, I don't give a shit about poison-based spells. I don't know if they're any good in this game, but I think Pillars of Eternity is the only game where poisons have been generally very useful, and in that game because poison damage deals raw damage, and that's impossible to block through any kind of damage mitigation system, while everything else can be blocked. So still, I just don't know the spells, so I don't know what we should focus on. Fire gets its best fireball bonuses at level 24. It seems like, let's see, you need 22 for the last spell, 13, 16, 19. So if you would just be interested in the spells, you could easily, I think, get 2 selection of spells fully. You wouldn't get the more powerful versions of the attack spells, and you could still probably get spellcraft to high level if not maximum. Spell energy cost reduced by 50%. Faster casting. But plus 10 energy, 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 plus 10 energy. Level 5 for 2 extra spells. Right. Uh, and that's pretty much it. As I said, I don't know much about the game. I do know it that, well, 2 things I know. The combat is supposed to be very exploitable. I don't know how. I'm not sure if that's a big deal because I can't really think of a game where once you know the system, you couldn't basically build something ridiculously overpowered. But that's not important. The other thing is that the game has fantastic puzzles, and that's one of the reasons I'm very reluctant to look up anything about this game because I don't want to stumble upon anything remotely spoilerish about the game. That's the thing about puzzle games relying on puzzles. Once you know the puzzles, even some kind of real good tips about them, you sort of, yeah, the game sort of loses a lot of the impact it would otherwise have, and I don't want to risk that. Still, level 1, Into the Dark.